our next guest is willing to do. We welcome first-term Republican Congressman Tom Graves of Georgia, who joins us from inside the Beltway. Doesn't this awful jobs report really kind of assure that there won't be any tax increases at all?
Well, I certainly hope it does. And what we've seen, though, for 16 consecutive months, unemployment rate's been above 9%. What that really tells us is that the policies of the last couple of years just haven't worked. You cannot spend, print, and borrow your way out of this challenging economic time. You know, the bailouts, buyouts, stimuluses, they haven't worked, and it's time to get government out of the way and cut spending.
But again, making the case before, we think the case was made already that you shouldn't increase taxes in this economy. But now with 9.8% unemployment and nowhere near the number of job creations that we need, it's clear that if you want to build job growth in this country, you can't raise any taxes. It's easier now to make that statement than it was yesterday.
Right, and I think we've all known that, and history has shown that that whenever you reduce the tax burden on Americans, on small business owners, that ignites that the engine of our economy, which are the job creators, the entrepreneurs, the small, the large business owners, those who want to invest in capital, expand their businesses, and hire additional people. Instead, the leadership and the administration that's currently in charge, they've taken a different approach, and instead of empowered government, instead of the private sector.
Well, you know, you bring up an interesting point. The debt panel, of course, is history. We knew it would be earlier in the week, but a couple of the proposals are of interest, one of which is to get rid of a lot of the tax breaks and lower tax rates more than they are to just 2 rates, from the 6 rates we now have to only 2, which would be at a much lower rate. Do you think it's time to pick up something like that?
Well, we certainly need consistency in the tax code, and the business climate out there doesn't see any consistency. They don't know if their taxes are going to go up, they're going to stay the same, if they're going to go down. I think whenever you empower the taxpayers across the nation with knowing what they can do, whether it's a consumption-based tax, whether it's a flat tax, but you bring consistency into the picture instead of 68,000 pages of IRS code. You know, when you look at what's happened over the past couple of years, Barack Obama and the Democrat leadership have only expanded government and expanded the IRS.
But I want to talk about Republicans. I think our viewers get that, but I just want to talk about what Republicans' plans are. You've been united in standing behind no tax increases at all to anybody right now, but are you going to stand united for lowering rates come 1st of January?
Yeah, I think you'll see many Republicans, particularly the freshman class that has come in, that says, hey, look, we need to reduce the tax burden, but not only that, we've got to reduce the spending level. And I think that's really the #1 priority right now. When you have a debt and a deficit at the levels they are, you cannot continue down this path and be sustainable. That's really the #1 priority. And then through that, you're reducing the tax burden on the American people. But as well, myself and others included want to see the tax burden reduced, you know, tremendously. I would love to see the corporate income tax reduced because we're second highest in the world.
But are you also for simplification, for getting rid of all these deductions that we have, maybe keeping mortgage interest deduction, but getting rid of all those special interest deductions that make our tax code as big as it is?
Yeah, certainly the tax code is extremely complicated, and when you have about $280+ billion in compliance costs across this nation, I'm all for simplification of the tax code, absolutely.
All right, now we have seen once again over the past couple of weeks as the Democrats try to sell a tax increase, the reversion to class warfare, that, you know, these rich people get away with everything, they can afford maybe 1 less Mercedes a year if we increase their taxes. It's fallen on deaf ears. Do you think that they have learned anything about the fact that the public is not buying the class warfare argument?
Well, I'm not sure if they've learned anything yet, but it is clearly a good argument, because when you are punishing those who are the job creators out there across this country, those who really want to expand their businesses and invest in that new capital, and you're punishing them, but at the same time saying, hey, we want to see unemployment improve, that's just not going to work. I mean, everyday Americans all across this country just saying, give me an opportunity, allow me to go to work somewhere. But when you're punishing those who are the ones who are creating the jobs and expanding the businesses and investing in their ideas and creativity, it just doesn't work.
Well, and in fact, we've seen in the polls, while Congress is the least liked group of people in America, the best liked by 89% are small business people. Small business, or the appreciation of business, is in the ascendancy in the United States.
Yeah, in the tax bill that was passed yesterday in the House, which was touted as a tax cut by the Democrats, which clearly wasn't the case because not one American's tax bill would go down as a result of it. It'll either stay the same or go up. So you're punishing that sector that are the job creators, and that's the small business owners.
So can we count on it that January 1st taxes will not go up, or is there still some doubt?
Oh, there's certainly still some doubt. I mean, from the Republican perspective, we are united. We don't want to see taxes increase on anyone, but clearly the Democrats in the House have a different perspective. They want to balance the budget, so to speak, or reduce the deficit on the backs of the American people, as opposed to taking the responsibility that Congress has, and that is cutting spending. Now, hopefully the Senate will stand firm and say, look, no tax increases for anyone.
Congressman Tom Graves from Georgia. Good to see you, Congressman. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, David.
So how does this continued tax uncertainty affect businesses as they plan for